for liberation just have vastly different understandings of what liberation is for.
I haven't seen this much importance and attention.
The story itself is a really wonderful, really great setup.
Tractor beam has been engaged.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tractor Beam Comics Reviews, your one-stop shop for in-depth commentary and discussion on the Star Wars books that came out today. It is Wednesday, February 12th, 2025. It's the 7th week of comics in 2025. I'm Matthew. He's Chris. I'm here in Underworld, North Toronto. It's snowy. Hopefully, it's not too bad out down in Underworld, New Jersey.
It is. Yeah, it's ice rain.
Yeah. It snows in America too. Snow knows no borders. Snow knows no borders. we got 2 books coming out today. Got 2 Dark Horse books specifically. So shout out to Dark Horse as usual for coming in hot. Although Diamond, who knows what happened with Diamond? They're coming in hot. Did you get your books in today?
Oh, I haven't gone to the comic store in a couple weeks.
Okay.
They're so bad.
Don't admit that on the internet.
They still are Penguin Random House. They're going to switch over to my local shop. They finally admitted it. The last time I went there, they're like, we can't do this anymore. They're not giving us comics until like a month later. Like, it's bad for business at this point. Yeah,
Diamond, I don't see Diamond surviving. I don't know what's going to happen. It's wild. Yeah, my local shop hasn't gotten comics soon, but hopefully yours does. People check out brick and mortar, support brick and mortar, especially if they're with Penguin Random House. Then they get their books. We'll do quick plugs out of the way. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Threads at Iron Cannon Pod, EYEONCANONPOD, and on Blue Sky at Iron Cannon. And of course, follow Chris and everything he's up to on Twitter at Starraptor, STARRAPTER, and YouTube.com/Starraptor. Check out Outer Rim Transmissions. Check out the Iron Cannon podcast. Check out all this stuff. We are up to also, if for to listen to these audio, listen to these podcasts, we are up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts every week. Whenever we finish recording, I pop them up onto Spotify and Apple. So please do feel free to enjoy them there as well, especially if you're driving or walking or whatever. When don't watch a YouTube video while you're driving. Please don't do that. There you go. Yeah, so please do let us know if you're listening on Spotify and Apple and how that is. I know it's a bit of a different experience because comics are a visual medium, but enjoying being able to put that out there. Lastly, we are part of the Star Wars Underworld podcast network. Of course, here on the Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel, we've got YouTube memberships, we've got super chats, we got all that fun stuff. If you comment, if you chat, we will absolutely get your comment as soon as we can. If you super chat, we will get to it immediately. And we are
we'll stop mid-sentence and acknowledge it.
I'll stop mid-sentence. I'll get my ADHD in gear. I'll lose track of thought. That's right. We're pretty grateful for any support you can provide to the channel, to the network. Most importantly, community over on the Discord server. Down in the description, you can get a link to the Star Wars Underworld Discord server. We're all in there chatting away about different things. Definitely gonna be chatting about Captain America this weekend, so check that out. Of course, you're gonna be probably spoiler channel, non-spoiler channel, all these different things, so please do check that out. Also, if you happen to be free on Friday night, like me, I'm free Friday night. As Chris goes away, I hope he isn't free Friday night. There we go. There, Chris. I thought
there might be background from somebody else in the room, so I just wanted to mute that real quick. Just close the door. Left the door open. Recording in progress. I gotta put a sign out there or something.
That's a good call. I was being all. I hope you're not free Friday night, but I am free Friday night. Discord server, they're watching Princess Mononoke. They're doing another film night.
I should watch that again. It's one of my favorite Studio Ghibli movies, and me and my girlfriend have been watching a lot of those. A lot of just Japanese everything. Obviously, in the road to Celebration. 2 months from now, we'll be literally in Kyoto, just walking around, exploring feudal Japan, basically underneath our feet. So that's one of the best ones. Very brutal, very gory. They actually have a Studio Ghibli museum
Nice.
that, oh my gosh, that thing sells out tickets within 12 hours
I
of
believe it.
entire month every time they go up. So I might have to end Outer Rim transmission early that Saturday or that Sunday because I'm going to have to be on there immediately at 8 p.m. Eastern to get those tickets or else I'm screwed. So, yeah.
It sounds competitive, like the Nintendo Museum. All those places sound pretty competitive to get.
Oh, I was fortunate to get a ticket there, and I know a lot of people that did not. So, yeah, it's crazy over there. Everybody wants to do these really cool pop culture, intellectual property type of nerd things.
Yeah.
And they're only available in that one place in the world. So, yeah.
I mean, how often are people going to go to Japan, right? So,
exactly.
I know, Chris. I know. I'm not going. I know. I'm kidding. Anyway, if folks are free on just a random Friday in the middle of February, in the Discord, they're gonna watch that film and just chat about, just have the voice chat, I believe, on. It's how they do it. Jesse jumping in here. Yeah, sounds like a fun museum. Yeah, definitely hope you get the tickets as well. But yeah, I think that does it for plugs. We'll pick up the plugs longer at the end of the show as we usually do. But yeah, as mentioned, there are 2 books on the docket this week, both from Dark Horse. One set 200 years before the Phantom Menace, the other set during the Clone Wars. So we'll dive right in. High Republic Adventures number 15, written by Daniel Jose Older, art by Tony Bruno, colors by Michael Attier, letters by Comicraft's Tyler Smith and Jeremy Betancourt, and covered by Harvey and Kevin Tolibau. Eriadu is a battleground. Qort, Farzala, and their allies fight valiantly against the Nile as they vie for control of the planet and the galaxy. But our heroes' brave yet meager fighting force is drastically outnumbered by Marky and Rose's vast army, bolstered by merciless droids and savage war beasts. We'll help arrive for the forces of light and life before they are overwhelmed. Yeah, the Battle of Eriadu, it keeps rolling on. Farzala leading the charge, being this pretty brave, heroic character, pushing himself forward. Also, Qort, of course, he survives. He's there underground on the bed there, and Yaddle is they're trying to move this underground machine thing, and Yaddle's all, "What are you doing? You just got injured." But it was an interesting little, again, more Aloxian lore tidbits. Of course, we've seen Qort and everything he's done with the mask. Here we have Zint, who just pops off her mask willy-nilly to give her the oomph to go and jump into this machine to push it. And so that was just interesting to seeing Zinta be more involved, right? We thought she was just a tag along, just what's she doing there? She's gonna get in trouble, she'll get hurt. No, she's actually really contributing as part of the team, and that's been High Republic Adventures calling card, I think, is these younger, back to phase 1 when these characters were super young, seemed super young, and they were involved, getting going. Just everything, even in the young reader novels, Zavi and all those folks on Vala, I'm forgetting their names now, but really, all ages. This effort takes all ages, and the inspiration of young people to jump in, hopefully be more wise than even Qort is showing. But that was, again, it was an interesting moment. Of course, he has to put the mask back on, or else who knows what'll happen. Great seeing Yaddle in there. We don't get enough Yaddle. Hearing Bryce Dallas Howard's voice, really giving more life to this character. Definitely appreciate that. And then back to the main plot, thinking about Farzala and how he's pushing forward. He encounters these kind of giant walking monster things. I think is it Sav Maligan who takes a page from Chewie, or the other way around? Is that this issue? Might have been previously. Taking a page from Chewie. Or going and taking a page from Chewie and going into the machine to take out the other machines. And then, of course, we got the drill ships from phase 2.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So yeah, it was just, again, a really fun action adventure battle issue. The one last thing I'll say, really fascinating how this Battle of Eriadu is punctuated by Farzala's narration. and him reflecting on the moments, right? He thinks, just at the end there, he thinks, oh, everything's going great, and then it's falling apart at the end, and then he's clouded with this vision. We get another step forward in this vision. And so just noticing the pacing of these last 14 to 17, 4 issues of the Battle of Eriadu here. Yeah, we're going to progressively get more and more. This is kind of this is a through line. Of course, the battle is a through line going underneath. I guess it's by Frank City. I think it is a through line. And then Farzala's vision is a through line, and we get right to the end, this tease of who he's seeing on the other side of that at the very end, this cliffhanger. And so just ways of DJO and Tony Bruno and Michael Attier heightening up the drama, very clearly showing contrast, different colors of contrast and setting, and the tone of this vision very clearly different than the battle. He's standing there filled with smoke, red smoke, and who is on the other side of this vision? Is a vision of the future, kind of like Sifo Dyas type of thing, or just the Force is trying to tell him something about the present moment? And thankfully, we know Farzala, he's able to hear, we see him being able to listen and be attuned in the Force. And so probably something to do with depending on friends, depending on this Jedi family that he has. Of course, also Lula and Zine are part of this, even though they're not Jedi, because we have that moment where he flashes back, now flashing forward. So again, very impressive way of changing pacing and carrying these 3 different through lines, one of them even in Farzala's own mind, and I find that the most interesting one, quite frankly. So I don't know, I've talked a lot. What do you think of HRA number 15?
So it's funny because you mentioned about Chewbacca and some kind of reference to Empire Strikes Back or something like that.
For the Jedi, we're going into the big walker thing and taking it out.
Oh, that's going into the, I get you. Going into ATST. Yes, yeah. I have a similar kind of comparison. I think the the creatures, it reminded me straight out of Lord of the Rings. Actually, it reminded me of the Mumakils, the war elephants on the Battle of Pelennor Fields, and like how Legolas would jump on and like steer one to another and just cause chaos. That, and of course, I mean, Star Wars fans all over the world will know, okay, this is basically analogous to the Battle of Hoth with the big walkers, except these are sentient creatures, not machines. And they're called oh gosh, I can never pronounce this word because no one's ever said it out loud for real. So how am I supposed to know how to pronounce it? Bogaranths, I think is
Bogaranths. Yeah,
Bogaranths. Very strange creatures.
On hand, AT, at, whatever you want.
yeah. So that was cool because we're getting battles in the air, basically at sea and on land. This is the quintessential Star Wars formula for how you do a big climactic ending. You just throw everything out there, have Jedi, have Nile, have killer droids sent by Marchion Ro, all this kind of cool stuff. There's some stuff that just pops up out of nowhere. What is the little Zabrak, the non-binary Zabrak kid, Zine? No, not Zine.
I know what you're talking about. Oh,
from the pirate guy.
Yeah, like Sav Maligan's crew, the Dank Racks.
Yeah. The kid jumps in out of nowhere. So some editing choices would have been nice because it's just like, wait, that character's on the Bogaranth, but he wasn't on any other panels. Where did he come from? Or they, whatever. So that was kind of out of left field. I thought that Jacoby was an interesting new character that's kind of inserted. This Jacob, is that how you pronounce it? I don't know.
Jacoby. I mean, again, who knows?
Yeah, like it's interesting how they're introducing new characters this late into the game. That's my point of that. Is like, I know the High Republic loves inserting new characters with every story, but at a certain point, it's like, okay, we're wrapping things up. Do we really want to add any more than the 1,000+ characters in this series at this point, or whatever it is? So that was interesting because it was a really fun comedy moment because you have like the grandmother that's been taken. And it was just this playing for gags moment. So that was fun. I do like, now, was the core temperature thing underneath by Frank City, was that introduced in like one of the one shots, or was that through the main line of High Republic? Because I like how they called back to that, whether it was or not. I do like how it shows the risk and the danger, the stakes that are involved with this. Like if stuff goes wrong, everyone's going to die essentially, because that whole hemisphere is going to just get imploded, I guess, at that point, and just everything dies. So that the idea, like Zint as this other Aloxian, gets a lot of time to shine. So that's really cool getting to see these two characters of a very rare species interacting with each other. You know, Qort trying to impart the knowledge and the courage and intellect and inspiration on this kid, and the kid just sees the amount of pressure that everybody's going through and says, I'm going to help you guys out. And that was awesome. Terra Sinube, undercover again, flying a freaking eviscerator, and the Nile are going, oh my gosh, one of our things have gone rogue. And you just see just this great splash page of just the two ships colliding. And these things were supposed to be outlawed since phase 2 because they're just so deadly that you can't have them around. It's just unfair advantage, basically. So it was cool to see that happening. But like you said, there's a lot of, this is the battle issue. There wasn't a whole lot of deep diving into the psyche of too many of the characters, really. It's just the Farzala. Yeah. I don't remember us getting much out of the general in this story. I know we started peeling back the layers a little bit. The warden, yeah. So we didn't see too much of that in this issue of the story, but it moved really well. It looks really, really good. You got Tony Bruno on the art. So yeah, this one's thumbs up for me.
Yeah, it's interesting. You've definitely focused on Farzala for sure, and I think Qort and Zint. Definitely. One of the things on canon we're talking about is discipline of focus, and just did a great job of having that clear discipline. The warden. I mean, the warden's always been kind of this comic relief, mustache twirling villain, and here you have this Jacoby character out of nowhere in with the Tarkins, kind of the servant of the Tarkins, sort of spying for the Nile, sort of, because Jacoby has his grandmother or whatever, and she's all ready to go. Like, I don't care. Just let me go. It's kind of dark humor, very dark humor for Knowledge's comic, but I'm sure some younger readers have grandparents who might be like that. I don't know. Those, you're right. It's just a wild choice to introduce some new character. Makes me think he's going to be pretty key going on, or why bother? Why bother introducing him? Maybe kind of this double agent, because he's the classic, everyone ignores him. He's the servant, whatever, bumbling servant. And so maybe he has some key information for the Nile. Maybe he has some key information for the Republic. I don't know. Last thing I'm wondering is where are the Adrins? When are they showing up?
Yeah.
Because they're there. They're kind of this fourth thing we're waiting for the Battle of Eriadu for them to show up,
especially because I just read the Insider magazine,
which I haven't got yet. But are they in it? Have they been spoiled that one thing? Is it an Adrin story, or is it something else entirely?
It's an Adrin story.
Okay. So definitely, I guess that'll be my answer when that actually comes in. When the magazine comes in for me. Because again, there's this, where are they looking at? Because you're right. This gives a feel of the Battle of Eriadu being one of the climactic moments of the High Republic. Like, we keep saying this every week. This is the finale, folks. This is it. This is the end. This is like the Return of the Jedi, final chapter. And again, getting an all ages comic to tell this story, pretty brilliant. So, definitely looking forward to whatever's going on with the Naboo. Looking forward to whatever's going on with the Blight. But the Battle of Eriadu, it feels significant, and I think that is partly credit to, especially to, I think, the way that DJO has been getting into the mind of Farzala, into the mind of Qort as well. To see who's on the back of that Trials of the Jedi cover, right? Which one of these are? It's probably Farzala. I wouldn't be surprised. So, there. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. See how, if he's having this significant story in this comic book, which is only 2 issues left.
Yeah, it's interesting because the character Farzala, I always looked at him as like a C tier character. No offense to anything that DJO has done with the character, but especially in that first act, he was always just like the side character. Yeah. Would say a few things, but you never had. I am honestly shocked that this is the character that they're ending with the story. Like, why isn't it Zine or Lula, who have always been the headliners, the front and center characters, the faces of the High Republic adventures? Instead, now we're getting Qort and we're getting Farzala, and the other two are in the background more or less. I'm actually shocked that they're elevating him. That's all. Yeah,
give him time to shine. I will say Qort's story, with the mask especially, was maybe the most, at least the one I connected with the most. I'm sure lots of folks connected with Lula's story plenty. But yeah, it's interesting. Farzala. That's something to ask DJO. Yeah, why Farzala? I'm curious. I mean, why not?
I think I have another idea. Maybe because he's a Cathar species. No, he's not Cathar. He's Zygerian. Cathar and Zygerian are both like cat-like people. But
he's Zygerian. That's right.
He's Zygerian, and he's like a lens to look through for the warden, who's also appearing to be a very maldeformed version of a Zygerian. I don't know. We got to learn the story of how his mouth becomes contorted like the way it is.
I thought he was General Grievous species. I thought it was.
Well, no, because if you look at the flashback from the last month's issue, he definitely looks a lot like Farzala in that when he's talking to General Vice. Man, we are really getting into the weeds with this character. The people listening to this podcast are probably going like, these guys
I do remember
talking about these little differences in the character species. Oh my goodness.
Maybe he is Zygerian. Herwin Tix. I remember his species was basically revealed. I'm gonna have to look back. I don't remember. Yeah, maybe he is Zygerian. So that could be interesting. I hope they don't do a what they did in phase 2 with the mother and that Jedi. That was kind of cheesy. I hope they aren't like siblings or family or something.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert for the end of phase 2, but
yep.
Yeah. Anyway, any last thoughts on HRA 15?
So we have how many of these left now? That's crazy. We have 2 more issues of the whole series.
Yeah.
So you figure, we got 1 in March, 1 in April. Yeah, a lot of things are finishing up in April and May.
Yeah. Especially around Celebration. We'll talk about it at Celebration. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense, right? And all these things, bring it to the brink, and then I guess it's Into the Light and then Trials of the Jedi, right?
No, it's Into the Light, the Vow of Vengeance, or Valiant Heart, or something. There you go. And I just looked this up, so I'll be able to read Into the Light on the plane because that comes out April 1st. So that'll give me something to hopefully fall asleep on when I'm on that 14-hour flight to Japan. And then the next month in May is when we get the middle grade.
So yeah.
And then the next month in June is when we get the Trials of the. So they're really trying to space it out to try to give everybody ample time to be able to be caught up on the day these things come out, I guess.
Good luck, Matthew, finishing it. Yes, I will do my darndest to finish Into the Light as soon as I can. Yeah, but again, that makes sense. Like, finish up. As I'll say at the end, Fear of the Jedi starts next week. So that's probably also going to take. So that's 4 issues.
February, it's 4?
March, April, May. I believe it's 4 issues.
Interesting.
The Jedi. We're just researching on the go here. Sorry, folks. Fear of the Jedi.
April, May. It would make sense if it's 5 issues, because then it would actually finish right around the time of the final novel.
Yeah, May, June. Yeah, it's 5 issues. May, June. Yeah. So. I mean, that speaks to Keeve's story. Everything Keeve is up to. So yeah, looking forward to it. Again, it makes sense. Yeah, that's an interesting thing to think about. Then is which ones do they plan to end before Trials of the Jedi comes out, and this one thing, Fear of the Jedi, they're letting go through. There's also going to be another manga. I forget what it's called.
It's coming out, I think, in April.
Yeah, there's gonna be another manga. There's gonna be
March.
A few more things, but basically, you can count on we're almost at the point where you can count on one hand the number of things coming out left in High Republic, which is what I thought. What a thought. We're caught up. Anyways, any last thoughts before we move on? All right, let's do it. Let's time travel to the Clone Wars. Here we go. It's like I planned this shirt when I was setting up my clothes last night. There, Bad Batch.
I didn't show that my shirt was this one.
Oh, there we go. That's a good shirt. Where'd you get that?
This was one of the very first High Republic merch you could buy when they announced it. I was like on Amazon. I think I got it.
I gotta get in that somewhere. Anyway, Bad Batch Ghost Agents #1, written by Michael Morrissey, art by Reese Hannigan and Elisabetta D'Amico. Colors by Michael Attier, letters by Comicraft's Tyler Smith and Bobby Bradford, and cover by Valeria Favoccia. The Bad Batch is back for another high-octane adventure set during the Clone Wars. Their mission to hunt down the mysterious separatist ghost agent who executed a daring heist on Coruscant. The thief's trail leads Hunter, Wrecker, Crosshair, and Tech to the seediest corners of the galaxy, where kingpins and thugs threaten the clones' mission and their lives. Have the Bad Batch met their match? This was fun. I'll throw it to you. What do you think of Bad Batch Ghost Agents #1?
All right. First off, I got a gripe with Dark Horse and Lucasfilm.
All right.
This title needs to be shortened, man.
Yes.
This is probably the longest title I have ever read. I mean,
I shortened it here.
Star Wars, Hyperspace Stories, The Bad Batch, Ghost Agents. You have 4 separate titles, guys, in that one comic book. What's going on over there? But here's the thing. On all honesty, this should be the way that Hyperspace Stories goes forward. Mm-hmm. While the one-off stories are fun, we've done that so many times. Yeah. I'd rather them put the resources in getting creative talent to tell a fully fleshed out, longer term story. Mm-hmm. Because I could already tell just by issue 1 of this, we get the Poe Dameron series, which I feel like is going to be just great with Ethan Sachs. These are the more impactful stories that I feel like we're going to be going back and forth to. No offense to everybody on the one shots, but that's just how those sort of things are. They don't get the space and the breath to really like flesh out the characters. Mm-hmm. And that's the best thing about this one here is that we are getting to actually see these characters in a different time period that we've really not seen them other than seeing their first appearance in the Clone Wars show. But this is nice because we get to see them on an adventure. Let's say this is just like a forgotten arc of the TV series they didn't get to. Like that's what this is going to feel like, a Clone Wars arc that we never got to see. And it's in the pages of a comic book, which is just fantastic because what this does really well is it actually, Mike Moretsu is actually able to put the Bad Batch in a situation that they're not used to, and that's going in stealth without guns blazing. And that was really fun because we get to see them undercover. They're in, I don't think they specifically said level 1313, but it's the under level of Coruscant, which is always one of my favorite locales. And to see these guys not with the armor on, I love the way that Crosshair looked with his get up and just these guys' attitude going into scum and villainy place and just going to the cantina. The guys basically calling about his clothes. It was such a cool story because then they're, Crosshair's throwing his little magnetic thing and shooting a guy's glass saying, hey, I'll kill you next time. Like there was great stuff. Embo showing up as like another person going after this information. And it's a really high stakes mission again. Like, oh shoot, if the Separatists get their plan, like get these guys, basically the spy network of the Resistance could be, or the Republic can be completely up in flames if they get this information. So there's a lot at stake. But then we get to go to see the guys do what they do best and battle at the end with their actual armor and all that stuff. So I love it. I think this is a great job by the whole team here. It's 2 thumbs up for me. It's my first reaction to all this. What do you think? Yeah,
talk about nailing the characters. Right. I mean, we've had 3 seasons with them and an arc in Clone Wars. Man, I was hearing D. Bradley Baker's performance in all of this, just how distinct they are. And yeah, Wrecker, he's kind of a one note sometimes, but they got the note. If you get it, that you could really dig in. Hunter being the leader, fascinating. Crosshair and Tech all there as part of this Bad Batch, meeting up, and their guy in the room is Mace Windu, Uncle Sam himself, Mace Windu. Great moment in the Super Bowl, by the way. Super Bowl halftime show. Just take a beat there. Amazing moment in the Super Bowl halftime show with Uncle Sam Jackson leading the way there. Anyway, yeah, that Mace Windu is the guy in the room, sending them out on this mission to Coruscant. I was not expecting that. Of course, if I had read this description, I would have known that. But going down into Coruscant, I thought it would be kind of behind enemy lines, going to spy. Spycraft, and I think they will be eventually venturing. Maybe, well, we know they're going to Kessel doing this. So, exciting first issue. It felt maybe a little long, a little windy for the first read, but again, it's just setting up a first issue. What can you do? So that's my first salvo there.
Okay. I will break down and talk about the intro. The intro threw me for a little bit of a loop, but I did understand a little bit more as I went back over it. But it was a fun idea where it's like, okay, these guys are on a snowy planet. There's this separatist weapon, and then Wrecker's all like, "Oh, I don't see the weapon," and somebody else said, "Oh, it doesn't have to be inorganic." And then here, this big hulking creature that the separatists sent there to basically threaten the people as planned to give over their hyperfuel. And then it's just a great hijinks moment because you have Wrecker that's kind of clueless, and he's basically the live bait, and then Crosshair just targets the hyperfuel depot and just blasts it. And that was cool. But it was really neat seeing the guys there in the Jedi Temple with Mace Windu. We've never really seen that before. These guys like in cahoots with the Jedi the way they are. As a special ops team, and this is how they're earning their stripes as these guys that they can get the job done pretty efficiently. But yeah, it was a lot of fun reading about like you said, they nailed the characters really, really well with their mannerisms, with how they would appear in the show exactly as they appear in the comic book here. So good stuff. I love it. As a fan of the clones, the clones are one of my favorite parts of the Clone Wars themselves. I just love the military aspect. It goes back to my roots with some of the games like Republic Commando and all. I just love that like SWAT tactical kind of feel. And the fact that I'm getting is it 4 or 5 issues now?
I think it's maybe 5.
Awesome. That's even better. So there you go.
Do we think that intro is gonna come back, or was it purely to just get us into the characters? I mean, all we have in this one comic is just this intro to get us into the characters. It definitely felt like the way an episode is structured, right? You have this sort of pre-mission, almost as this sort of teaser, and then they launch into the main mission, just to get us used to the crew, get us used to the crew without Omega. It was interesting. Dom was talking about how he's maybe more interested in the novel because I think the novel's set later, right? And so Omega's around. Here it's no Omega, no Rex. It's just the crew. That also we haven't seen much before either.
I'd actually prefer if the novel was set around this time. I would really want like a story that again just dives in deep to how these guys really depend on each one of them, even without Echo, right? Like these are the 4 original troopers that were bred to do one thing that they're good at each. It's just I want to see more of that camaraderie before it all goes to hell.
Bad Batch Star Wars Sanctuary is set during season 2 of the Bad Batch series. So. It's Pabu. That's right. That'll be interesting too. But yeah, again, really exciting action, intrigue. Neat seeing Embo show up, which suggests, this is a serious threat. This is a serious mission, like you said, to have this ghost agent list. the idea of Republic ghost agents. I mean, that also another thing that continues on from what Joel and I were talking about on Iron Cannon. It makes sense that Republic has Black Ops in this time period. It doesn't make so much sense. Be a fascinating concept in the High Republic. I think it's more what Joel and I were talking about, but we don't see this side of things as much in the Clone Wars. We do a little bit, like the one that Obi-Wan goes undercover, that arc, differently. Yeah, they're going behind enemy lines, going to see. I mean, I wonder how dark this comic book goes. Again, it's Dark Horse, all ages, but is there going to be kind of a Black Ops feel to this? Kind of what kind of moral compromises might they have to try and make? Again, how far can they go with an all ages comic? But I do want to see them explore something about this.
Well, they've proven. I feel like they've proven themselves. Dark Horse definitely feels like it leans darker than IDW.
Oh, sure.
Their stories definitely, especially with some of the High Republic stories that we talk about, it's like people dying left and right and just tragedies all over the place. I don't treat them as just the little kid, publisher anymore. They do stretch out their wings and kind of give us a little bit more grittier stories from time to time. And that's what you would expect in the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars is a time riddled with loss and tragedy, but also very heroic moments at the same time. So I would expect both. Yeah.
There's ways to do it, like with humor, for example, like we were talking about with High Republic Adventures. Dark humor can maybe be a way into exploring kind of the shadier, darker sides of things. And with the stakes, like we know the stakes of the Clone Wars. I have Mask of Fear kind of in my mind. I'm about a third of the way through that. And I'm only a third of the way through. And just that, the complexity of that war and how it definitely was Palpatine, just soiling up the galaxy, soiling up the Republic. Here are these Bad Batch, these heroes. We know, and that's what's fascinating about them. We know they're the ones who could be the very gritty, morally gray Dark Ops folks in the series. They're the ones with the moral core, in part because Omega's there. Even without Omega, are they going to be still more heroic, try to do the right thing? Again, are they going to be faced with these challenging circumstances? Even and then even with Wrecker not being able to blow things up all the time, what's that going to do to his character? He's going to just complain the whole time. I hope not. I hope there's more of a note. And that's the thing, a 5-issue comic. I mean, I think season 3, got there, of the show got there as well. But with this comic, there's time also to maybe explore what it looks like for Wrecker, especially to go undercover. We can guess what Tech and Crosshair are going to be like, but kind of using their smarts, using their wits. Wrecker, he has some wits about him at some point. We know that. He's the one I'm most curious about in this one. Anything further to say? Anything got any more?
But this one, no, I think that's a good place to leave it. It's a very good first issue. I feel like just gets us into tone, a good tone setter. Good stuff with the Pikes, by the way. I wanted to mention about the Pikes. The next mission's Corellia, so I hope that the outline of this story. What did I say?
Corellia.
Yeah, Kessel. Sorry, Kessel. We went to Kessel in the Clone Wars, didn't we? No,
I mean in Solo.
In Solo, yeah. That's a
in Clone Wars season 7, the Martez sisters.
Oh yes. So exactly, good save there. So it's cool to go back there again, but I would like to see this as a planet per issue that they explore as they're kind of gallivanting across the galaxy on this very important mission. It'll give us a nice variety of things to explore, and I already know who the villain is thanks to synopsis and cover reveals. So that's unfortunate, but hey, when you're clued in as much as I am, it's just given that
all over social
when you
media.
pick up an Insider magazine and Lucasfilm officially publishes a synopsis that spoils a previous book.
Don't want to know.
It's just like, come on, what are we doing here? So I don't know if they can put a lid on that stuff a little better nowadays, because some of us just want to go in surprised. And oh well.
I mean, so okay, I'll talk about that spoiler too of the Bad Batch one. Okay, Ventress on Kessel. I'm talking about talking about going dark, right? Talking about going deep and going dark. Yeah, the Kessel's such a dangerous place. And Ventress is such a dangerous character. We were just watching the first episode of Clone Wars, and she's already, in this time very much. I mean, is she? Well, there's a question: is she still under Dooku's thumb, part of Dooku's world? Or she already independent.
We don't know exactly where in the timeline this is, so I think we'll get a good idea when that issue comes out for sure. Hopefully, and that's the biggest thing, right? We got this is going way off topic, but the fact that we are a year removed, at least from that episode with Ventress, and we still don't know what the point of that was. That episode in Bad Batch, I'm like, oh man. Remember, she was in season 3.
Right, she was in that episode.
We were all waiting, like, oh yes, we're gonna get the announcement of a new series with the size Ventress. It's nothing still.
Yeah. And if she's showing up in the comic, that might mean that they aren't saving her. So, but again, for tone, even if she is on the way towards the light, her tone is always kind of cynical and skeptical, and I mean, another synonym, questioning of the things our heroes might always hold dear. I mean, that's the role she has for Ahsoka, right? Kind of like the Lorna D. I mean, there's a parallel here. Just thinking of this now. Speaking of next week, parallels to Lorna D. And Lorna, even as she starts to move towards the light, she still is cynical and skeptical of claims to heroism by the part of galactic institutions like the Jedi. And so Ventress probably this time is still carrying that chip on her shoulder. So it'll be fascinating to see where that goes. Again, any last thoughts before we wrap things up?
No, I'm just anxiously waiting the next issue. I'm happy that this exists. I was happy when it was first announced. And Hyperspace Stories, let's keep this going. Let's do these short stories from around the galaxy in a longer format. By the way, this snuck up on me. I don't know if it's still holding for the same date, but did you know that the infamously long delayed original graphic novel of Qui-Gon is coming out next month?
Coming out next month. Okay, good to know.
Yeah. I don't know. It was printed in Insider. I don't know if they're current on the information of that, but it says sometime in March. I'm like, I completely forgot that was supposed to come out over a year ago.
March. Yeah, we were in the room in 2023. That's great. We could get into that. Hyperspace Stories Codebreaker again by Ethan Sachs. It looks just a 4-issue run. That of course comes out April 9th. Yeah.
Oh, April.
These 4 or 5 issue runs. I agree. Get folks again, Michael Morrissey, Ethan Sachs. They know how to write these stories. I think Michael Morrissey, he is the guy for Dark Horse for Hyperspace Stories. I mean, it's almost like Hyperspace Stories has taken over from Star Wars Adventures. Kind of
I think wording. So. Yeah.
But I'd like that to be. I don't know if I'd like that. I'd like Hyperspace Stories to be kind of these anthologies, but not the one, like you're saying, not the one shots or the half shots, but these 4 or 5 issue runs. Take the time to tell a good story.
Yeah, because what are they going to have when the High Republic is over? Because for the longest time, the High Republic has been, or Dark Horse has been just like the sole person for High Republic. Like, we didn't really get anything else besides High Republic. Like, dude, like last month we got 4 High Republic stories, all from Dark Horse, right? Like, what happens when that well is dried up? What's their plan? I'm very curious to see are we going to get like maybe 3 or 4 of these different kind of miniseries going on in the same month, perhaps? Or what is their deal? I'm very curious to see the transition for what happens both Marvel and, well, we know what's happening with Marvel with these new ongoings coming out. But yeah, Dark Horse is a bit of a mystery, I think, right now with what's happening.
Yeah, I think there will be a panel, a Dark Horse panel at Celebration. That'll make things out. It's my guess. Guess. So, all right, let's talk. Before we talk about next week's, we've talked a bit about it, but a few Star Wars adjacent comics to mention that came out today. Greg Pak's Sam Wilson Captain America #2. Of course, that's with Marvel. I'm guessing, I haven't read it. I have issue #1. I haven't read it yet, but I'm guessing that that's somehow connected, inspired by the movie. It's not an adaptation of the film, obviously, because it hasn't come out yet. But you're usually tying in, capitalizing on popularity of the film. Interestingly, I mentioned this, the Nick Spencer Samuel L. Captain America, that is very much was the inspiration for Falcon Winter Soldier. So check that out. Anyway, Greg Pak, Samuel L. Captain America #2, and Charles Soules for Image, Lucky Devils #2. That's a fantastic series. I definitely recommend going to that. The Faustian bargain, but if the Devils decided to rebel against Hell and said, no, we're going to actually help these guys. Interesting little concept. Interesting premise. Of course, with Ryan Brown. Speaking of Charles Soule and Ryan Brown, he's got a Discord. They've got a Discord server as well. Obviously, join the Star Wars Underworld Discord server, but check out the Charles Soule. It's the Silent D Discord server, because they both their last names end in Silent E. So check that out as well. Charles, Ryan, Tommy, they're all in there chatting away. So good place to be. Anyways, back to Star Wars. Next week, as we mentioned, High Republic, Fear of the Jedi #1 by Kevin Scott. I'm really glad last week we talked about Tempest Breaker, having that in our minds, having Lorna's story in our minds, having Keeve's story. Keeve's really starting to explicitly question, is this the Jedi Order that I want to be a part of? Is it enabling me to be the Jedi I want to be? And if not, where's that bust in the archives? Get that ready. Looking forward to this one. Looking forward to this one. This is one of those ones, sorry, where I've been looking forward to since Hyperbug started, because I'm looking forward to really diving into what Keeve is up to, why as a master, why she feels the need to leave the Order, how that's so different and maybe a little similar to Dooku, but very different from Dooku. It starts. I think this is the book we see it happen. If not, I'll be surprised and hope we get it somewhere else. But what are you looking forward to in Fear of the Jedi #1?
Oh, I'm looking forward to seeing Kel Naka. I'm looking forward to seeing the thread between the Acolyte and the High Republic Phase 3 starting to coalesce and connect, because those threads are important, right? We talk about the Acolyte and our disappointment for the show getting canceled, but at least Lucasfilm is still giving us stories that have these characters to try to enrich that first season as much as it can. Because he was one of the characters that I was scratching my head about. I'm like, you have this Wookiee Jedi and he's barely in the show. Like, what the hell happened here? So getting to actually show his notoriety and his prowess in the comic, taking hopefully a bigger look at his character is going to be awesome. And of course, just to see Lorna D teaming up with Keeve Trennis, who is now the Marshal of Starlight. I'm looking forward to this.
Or the Marshal of the Fleet.
Yeah, Marshal of the Fleet. Yeah. I'm looking to this story being hopefully as climactic as this last phase or this last arc of the High Republic Adventures.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's a big ensemble cast. And I'm hoping it's like we have some Republic people there. They're just like going for a Naboo or something, because we got that hint about Naboo as like a flashpoint. We don't know anything. I'm guessing that's maybe where this book could go. So I want to see like all that war. I want to see this 5-issue series, just crazy stuff happening and just awesome emotional bits, plenty of action. That's what I want from this.
Yeah.
Because we don't know anything. I don't even think I've read a synopsis for what this thing is even about, or seen any art for it at all.
Yeah. We've seen the cover. We got more about Kalnaka in that one shot by Kevin Scott than anything in this series. Again, there's moments in that show I love, are brilliant. But yeah. And I want the story to continue somehow, but it is in this. You're right. It is in this way.
Well, we're gonna get the YA novel. We're gonna get the adult novel. So that's coming. That's coming on the precipice of Celebration.
But those
as well.
those are prequels. Like I do want.
Oh yeah.
They're definitely tie-ins, which is great, and I'm definitely going to read them. But looking forward to one day getting a continuation of that story. Speaking of which, Many Jacinto is coming to Toronto Comic Con. Just discovered that. So
this guy's doing the rounds because it's going to be at Celebration as well.
Yeah, doing the rounds. So, anyways, yes, High Republic, Fear of the Jedi. Here's what I think. I think High Republic Adventures is, of course, Eriadu.
Mm-hmm.
Fear of the Jedi is like, and maybe to say like, High Republic Adventures 14 to 17 is almost a mini, like a short run in itself. Fear of the Jedi, the short run in itself. So High Republic Adventures on Eriadu, Fear of the Jedi on Naboo, and then Into the Light, Valiant Vow. Not too sure where Valiant Vow is going to be set. Then we know Trials of the Jedi is Planet X. So, I mean, the quest to get back to Planet X. So
basically, like all these different integral editions are tackling one of the things, whether it be the Nile, whether it be the Blight, or whether it be the Nameless. Those are the three giant problems for the Republic, and each one of these is going to kind of isolate one of those variables and try to get rid of it.
You know, it makes sense if this is the Blight, going back to the other adult novels, because I mean, where's was Kar Santeka? He's on Naboo, right? And that's the Blight. Maybe if the Blight is spreading to Naboo somehow, that'd be brutal. Also, we know the Nile are kind of entrenched on Naboo, so I think that's right. So yeah, that makes sense. Getting clearly Nile and the Storm Wall on Eriadu. Again, these equal weight to these comic books, and I'm loving that. So, how's it going, Tyler? Good to see you coming around. Great work on both these books as always. By the way, so I guess that does it. Looking forward to that. Go to your local comic book shop. Hopefully they get it in. Otherwise, check it out on digital. Get Marvel. Get Diamond to get their act together, or make sure your local comic book shop is on Penguin Random House, because the distribution thing is just all over the place right now. So, anyways, that about does it for this issue. This issue of Tractor Beam Comics Reviews. Chris, thanks as always for another great conversation. Where can they find you on the internet? What are you up to these days? Yeah,
you can find me over on youtube.com/StarRaptor. Every Wednesday at 3 p.m. I put up my review of said comics that we talk about. So if you want just a succinct, quick recap, 5 minutes or less usually, you can go over there, check that out. And then we break those obviously down in a lot more depth. So that I appreciate. You probe create more things that kind of probe my mind to go, oh yeah, let me talk about that, let me talk about this. I can't do that. You did that
for me too, so there we go.
Talking about myself or talking about the thing on my own, I don't go into that level of detail because last time I forget those things. But it's good to just kind of lay it all out here on the show in a longer format. Also, earlier today, I put up my 10 most anticipated games of 2025. So that's just about the games we know so far, because we're really early in the year and they tend to announce things the further we go on. So if you're a gamer, if you're looking for the latest on what might be coming out on Xbox, PlayStation, PC, or Switch, then go ahead and give that a view over there. And twitter.com/StarRaptors, where you'll be finding me posting screenshots of different games and just retweeting Star Wars things and whatnot. So you can chat with me over there. I'll respond.
And what are you talking about at RM Transmissions?
That's a really good question. I did not even plan the show yet.
What did you talk about last week then?
We did not talk last week because we didn't want to compete with the 225 million viewer Super Bowl going on.
Which I watched.
So yeah, we took a break. We're going to come back and pick up on whatever news that we left through the cracks over the last couple of weeks. So I'll scrounge up some things and discussion topics, and we'll be live at 7 p.m. Eastern over there on youtube.com/StarRaptor over on Sunday.
Nice. You can follow me on my personal Instagram and Threads, MNEUG1138 and beaches.foodie. I got some more stuff up there on my food Instagram, also on Blue Sky at MNEUG1138. Still on the Bird app, NEUG485. We're tweeting away every now and then as well. So check that out. And of course, the Iron Cannon podcast. This past week, Joel and I talked about point of view and perspectives, and pretty wide-ranging conversation there. That's up on the Underworld YouTube channel. This coming week, I'm taking a break the next 2 weeks because this Monday is Family Day here in Ontario, and then the week after that, I will be traveling to those United States for a conference. And so, but this coming week, Joel, do another Legends look back, I believe, on the X-Wing comics. I believe it's the X-Wing comics. So check that out right here on the Underworld YouTube channel and Facebook and Twitch, and on Iron Cannon Twitch on Monday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. There we go. Again, next week, right here, back at it with the Attractive Comics reviews, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, right here next Wednesday. Talking about High Republic, Fear of the Jedi, #1. Should be a doozy. Kevin going to take us home. Take us home to Naboo. So yes, please do. Hopefully your local comic book shop will get that in. Hopefully, always never hurts to poke your head in just to ask if they'll have it. Just have a good outing. It'll hopefully be warmer next week. You never know. But if not, then check it out on digital, and please check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. But all right, that about does it for Attractive Comics reviews. Chris, till next week. Happy reading.